Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Pigskin Breakdown, powered by the Sports Guys Iowa Network. I am Ghost Brandon Leonard, joined by my good buddy, Jay Jordan Cole. Jay, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Another day talking ball. Just wish the weather would start to replicate that a little bit.
Yeah, it's not quite football weather yet, but working the day job over at BPL, you said heard some pads popping today.
Yeah, the Mustangs of Mount Mercy, they were getting after it in the rain a little bit today. It definitely got me a little excited. Real excited for the season to get going.
Yeah, I've got that itch as well, my friend. If you're listening on our podcast, you can't see us, obviously, but if you're looking at us on YouTube or you see a clip later, we're ready for football. Jay's got old Jimmy Laurinaitis. Is that
Leonard
Leonard
Little, baby.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yep.
And then I got old 2-7 Eddie George here. I was wearing a salmon shirt when we started this, and Jay told me I look kind of candy ass. So, hey, I put on the most hard-nosed football player I've got. Yeah, we'll dive into things. You were talking about Mount Mercy, how you were seeing the pads popping there. We're going to get into the Heart of America Conference here a little bit later on. Not this episode. A few polls came out that we wanted to touch on specifically at the NAIA level. We got the GPAC Conference preseason coaches poll came out. So we'll go into what that looks like. And then we're also going to stick with the D3 ranks as well. We've had a lot of Division III coaches on the last week or so here on the Pigskin Breakdown Show. We're going to talk about the Midwest Conference preseason football poll as well. So we're going to go ahead and fire from the hip right there and just go into that poll, Jay. Looking at the top for the 2026 season, not much of a surprise out of the Midwest Conference. Monmouth is picked to win. They received 9 first-place votes. Lake Forest coming in at second. They got 2 first-place votes. The University of Chicago at 3, Illinois College 4, Ripon at 5, edging out Cornell. Our friends from Mount Vernon just missed that number 5 spot in the projection. Then we actually got Grinnell at 7, Knox 8, Luther, new to the Midwest Conference this year from the American Rivers Conference, at 9, Beloit 10, Lawrence rounding out the field in 11th. So that Midwest Conference is pretty big now, Jay. Starting to see a little bit of the number swing compared to our other Division III friends in the state with the American Rivers Conference. But what stood out to you about that poll, specifically the Iowa teams? What's the first thing that come to mind when you saw that poll, Jay?
I thought Cornell being there, I like it just because, again, there's just that little bit of unknown. I know you and JD had Coach Ritchie on the other day, and you kind of highlighted he's got so many young guys coming in with 50 or so freshmen. So
it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so much uncertainty on how those guys could contribute right away. And I trust in Coach Ritchie has quite the pedigree at the high school ranks of building a winning culture wherever he's at. And I think he's starting to do that here at Cornell. So I'd say that one to me was probably the most intriguing just because of them going 4-6 last year. They were in a lot of tight games, going 4-1 on the road. If they can turn some of those games around in Mount Vernon this year, I could definitely see them rising up the Midwest Conference ranks as a whole by season's end. So that one was the one that stuck out to me, especially returning starting quarterback Mason Dew, who did take over halfway through the season last year.
And Coach said a lot of good things about Mason Dew. He said that Mason stayed put in the state of Iowa this summer. He worked out even more so, not only Cornell athletes, but some other area athletes where he was at. They did some training together, and sometimes you just got to pick up the pigskin and throw it around to knock that rust off. I like the way that conference schedule shakes out for them. Obviously, Bremner Cup games, it's going to be a tough one. I think everyone's well aware of the track record there with Co, and they're going to have their hands full in Cedar Rapids to start. But having Beloit at home, I think, is really big to help them bounce back and hopefully get them to 1-1. And then you're hosting Monmouth. All right. Now, is that a game that they're probably going to win this year? I don't think so. But I think if you're Coach Ritchie and his team, you really just hope to stay competitive, put some good plays together, find some positives heading into game 4, a road game But like you said, they're road dogs, and it's not too far of a trip. They're just going up the road to Decorah to reignite that rivalry with the Luther Norse. So a lot of positives, I think, with Cornell. And again, you alluded to it, that the youth is a big thing. I want to say, like you said, I think it was 48 or 49 first year players of the 97 on the roster. But hey, kudos to them for having their biggest recruiting class ever, getting their numbers up close to triple digits. That's what you want to see at any collegiate football program. Just some fun stuff to see there. And hey, if all goes well, maybe they sneak into that top 5.
Yeah, you never know. And like you said, it's just getting the young guys involved. It could work out great. Pick of the litter. That's what you kind of want at the end of the day. Just more bodies, find guys who can go out there and field your squad. What do you feel about Grinnell there being at 7? Any thoughts on that?
I will admit I was a little surprised that I saw Grinnell at 7. Last year, you look at their schedule and they were 2-8. But you look at some of their games, and there were some positives that you could find in that. Their season opener, they lost by 5, and they handled Beloit pretty easily week 2. But then they go to Ripon, a 10-point loss. Monmouth was what it was. Monmouth had their way with them, as everyone expected. But shoot, they played Docs well last year, played Illinois College pretty well. They were up on Cornell on senior day too last year there in Grinnell. So I guess I wasn't expecting them to be quite so high as 7. I was probably thinking maybe them closer to the 9 spot, but they've got some building blocks there. Pardon if we mispronounce this. Luke Conksel, stud linebacker last year. He had some great numbers. I want to say he was over 100 tackles. I want to say he's a Fairfield native too, one of just 2 Iowa natives on that Grinnell roster. Yeah, I was a little surprised to see them where they're at, but I certainly hope that they finish there or higher. What do you think about the Pioneers there, Jay?
Yeah, I was a little shocked as well, but you do talk about Console again. Sorry if we mispronounced that, but you got to think they got to get him involved in the run game a little bit this year. Averaged 47 yards a carry last year. Numbers will say that's probably going to go down, but you get him 5 carries, 47 yards a pop. That's your offense is going to be humming at that point. But yeah, I was a little shocked to see them sitting right there behind Cornell. They did, like you said, they were up on Cornell. They did end up losing by 5. They get to host Beloit this year, Knox, Cornell, and Luther. You have to travel to Lawrence. So the bottom of the Midwest Conference definitely does have some work. So there's teams like Grinnell, like Cornell. It is probably more of the measuring stick type of games of, okay, can you beat the teams you're supposed to beat? So having those guys at home will definitely be beneficial to Grinnell. But yeah, I just a little shocked to see where they're at. And maybe they can be sitting in the middle of the Midwest Conference by season's end. It's just got to stay healthy and see how it all plays out.
I think if they could get to 500, Coach Brent Barnes would be ecstatic with that. Certainly an unknown, one of the more interesting matchups. And I think we're obviously biased with this being from the state, but so interesting that they opened up with an NAIA program in Mount Mercy. Hey, it's their maiden voyage. This is their first game. What the heck are they going to look like? I have no clue what to expect with that game, but that's one we're going to be following pretty closely. A lot of intrigue with that there. And that's a home game for the Pioneers. Excited for September 5th. And yeah, then we got now the 3rd school in the state of Iowa in the Midwest Conference, Luther. So Luther's picked 9th out of 11. I would say on the surface, I think that's fair. You look back at the 2025 schedule for the Norse, and a lot to forget about. 0-10, threw up the old burger, but played UD relatively close. That was a 1-possession game. That was towards the end of the year, and kept it within 3 scores of Co too. And it sounds silly, but that was a road game, and Co was a playoff team last year. So some positives you can build on, and it's not like they're not returning anything. They actually returned at safety. And our friend, we follow him online. He does a great job with player breakdowns. His name is Tony Packer. You can follow him. He is a former safety in the Midwest Conference. He tweeted about Tyler Hagan a few weeks ago, And that guy has got some pretty good tape, Jay. I want to say he had 121 tackles. Is that what it was?
Yeah, certainly. And it is tough to have your DB leading your squad in tackles, but the kid can fly around.
Yeah, he can. You look at this tape here, and yeah, Reagan, he had. I'm watching this on this blue turf here. We'll see if we can maybe post this in one of our tweets. I'll give it a share too. Here's another one from Brian Galvin. I apologize if I mispronounced that, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to give him a share on the SGI page to boost this highlight of Reagan. But yeah, you take your guys where you can get them that can make plays, and he's certainly one of them. And return an all conference long snapper in Ben Lawrence as well. Yeah, some building blocks. I think the first step with Luther is let's just get a win. And luckily for them, they start off with a winnable game against Lawrence. So something to be excited about there, Jay.
Yeah, and something too that got shared with us today too is the new facilities. But that's something else you like to see is money being poured into your athletic program, because then it's also going to draw in more student athletes come around, and that hopefully you get the right guys in the building, and then that will lead to success down the line. But yeah, they do have a lot to do this season. Definitely just see where you're at, and they can hang their hat on Tyler Reagan back there, just roaming around and lighting things up. Maybe this could be more of their competition here in the Midwest Conference rather than stepping out of the ARC, where that's just turned into a powerhouse over there. So we'll see how their first year in the Midwest Conference goes.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's going to go well. There's going to be some positives up in the
Yeah.
core of this year. Yeah, we're excited to see how they perform. It all starts week one. We'll pivot to the NAIA ranks, Jay. We had talked about that a little bit, that we're going to talk about the GPAC poll as well. With that GPAC poll, some familiar faces there at the top of the GPAC poll. So, number one pick to win the conference, Morningside. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. Number two is Dordt. Number three is Northwestern. So, 5 Iowa teams in the GPAC, 3 of them in the top 3. And then we got Concordia at 4, Midland 5, Hastings 6, Mount Marty 7, 8. We got Briar Cliff then, the 4th Iowa school. Dakota Wesleyan over in Mitchell, South Dakota is 9. Doane is at 10. And then Waldorf, Old Treetown, bringing up the rear at 11. So the GPAC, man, you really need no introduction in terms of NAIA with the GPAC and especially with those big 3. But up there in Morningside, they return a lot of dogs. Most importantly, Drew Selland. So that All-American wide receiver, Jay, who dipped his toes into the transfer portal there this year to see, what's out there for him. And I don't blame him for checking his market and seeing, what could be out there for him. But really glad that he found his way home and is finishing out at Morningside. What other players for Morningside, catch your attention? I think they got some studs in the backfield as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Max Huff, but he had a pretty good year on the ground back there. And the big question will be is quarterback. You're losing Mr. Chevy himself. You're losing a ton of production at quarterback over the years. So that's the big question, is how they're going to do that. But defense side of the ball, they're still bringing back a lot of guys. You got Mr. Brickhouse himself leading the way at linebacker. He was just an all-out football guy last year. Loved watching him. Honestly, this is my first year really paying attention to NAIA last year, and it was so much fun to watch the GPAC. There's so many good schools within the state there, and Morningside was, yeah, them and Dordt last year battling it out, end up getting the co-championship. So I'm excited to see how it'll translate on offense, especially a quarterback, like we said, but they do have a lot of returning production, so that's definitely a big positive for those guys.
And they're not the only ones. Dordt returns 10 all GPAC players as well. Just a nasty defense that they had last year. There's a reason they're the defenders.
Oh, yeah.
They are just a nasty bunch up there. And they go on the road. They play Indiana Wesleyan. That's going to be a tough one right out of the gate, too. But nothing I don't think that they can't handle. They're going to be ready for that over there in Sioux Center. The number 3 team, Northwestern, by all standards with Northwestern, 2025 was a bit of a letdown for them, Jay. But they've got some big pieces coming back as well. The one that catches my eye is All-American defensive back Kyler Fritz from Sioux Center. Jay, As far as the top three go, we can get into the other two here in a minute. Do you see this going chalk as the season goes out, or do you think Northwestern can make that jump back over Dordt and Morningside and get back to the top?
Personally, I wouldn't be shocked by that just because of the history of Northwestern. They're a perennial playoff team over their last, I don't even know how many years, just looking back on it. But yeah, wouldn't be shocked if they make it back. I think with the question marks at quarterback for Morningside, I like Dort to ultimately get the outright championship this year. And hell, they went 10-1 last year.
Mm.
Yeah, it's bringing back so much production, leading rusher, leading receiver, leading tackler, bring back a quarterback. Continuity will be huge for Dort, and I think that they're going to get it done this year. But yeah, I don't like to make too many predictions. Just excited to watch some good football between these three.
I'm excited as well, and it's something that really caught my eye when I was reading through a lot of the going to these schools' websites and getting some of the summaries of some returning players and their resumes. I didn't realize last year that Northwestern had the top ranked scoring defense in NAIA. They were only allowing 13 points per game. And yeah, shoot, only 126 total points. And they were out of the playoffs too. So I think you said it a few weeks ago that the old P was going to be a little hot there for Northwestern. And I don't see why there's any reason why they can't make it. I'm not willing to make a prediction right now, but I think you could probably these guys could probably all play each other 10 times, and I wouldn't be shocked if they split 50-50 each time that all these teams played.
For sure. Just some I want to add to that Northwestern with their defense being so good. I was listening to the NAIA football podcast today. They're talking about Northwestern at the 5th ranked offense 2 years ago. Last year, they're 53rd. So if they can get some more, again, let's say continuity going and get back up there with a more consistent offense to go along with that defense, they'll definitely find themselves back in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So in terms of those three, success is the expectation. You look at your other two schools in the GPAC from the state of Iowa, Briar Cliff and Waldorf, and couldn't be any more different, I would say, because Ledeggy's out at Briar Cliff. They brought in Nathan Koziol. I apologize if I butchered that pronunciation. And it's not like they're not returning any talent either, Jay. They've got an All-American tackle, Zach Rachow, and then a quarterback to Brock Saya. So there's some pretty good production. He has played a lot of ball for them, and it says here that he's second in their program history from a career passing perspective with yards and completions. Needs 4 touchdowns to break the all-time records. So a lot of fun pieces. And Kamani Flurme had about 600 yards last year too. So exciting stuff on the horizon there for the Chargers, Jay.
Yeah, and that's the common theme with these last two schools. It seems like one school kind of got thrust into making a coaching change, Briar Cliff, with Aggie leaving town. But yeah, promoting their defense coordinator, associate head coach. So that'll be nice to someone that's familiar with the program. It's not like you're reinventing the wheel there. So they had success last year. See if he can build off this now that he's up at the helm, and yeah, get them going. Again, 6-5 last year in the GPAC. They were 500 in GPAC play, but that's pretty good. It's not, you're not sniffing the bottom, but you have to find, you don't want to be stuck in the middle. Make those type of moves to get up to the top, because otherwise you're going to find yourself slipping. And I think that they'll be all right this season.
Yeah, they start out with a home game against Mayview State. I do like that there's got a few night games on the schedule. There are only 2 night games, are their first 2 of the season, but certainly an opportunity there to build with hopefully get an early win. And then they've got Mount Marty there. I think that's a winnable game. Mount Marty's just ranked just ahead of them in these projections. So if you're playing the game on paper, hey, no reason why they can't go in and get things rolling. Hopefully get to 2-0 there. On the flip side of things, man, Waldorf's got some challenges that they're trying to overcome. They've struggled mightily, to say the least, offensively last year. They also had an offer in the win column, but they're bringing in David S. Callaway, and this guy's got a lot of time on his resume, more than 25 years of coaching experience collegiately as well. Had some winning seasons. I believe he most recently came from Arkansas Pine Bluff, Division I program there, Jay. Do you think that's at least a step in the right direction?
Hey, they had to do something. You can't keep it. The GPAC is going to be a tough conference to do a complete rebuild in, as you're going to be taking on three powerhouse teams, and the middle of the pack's pretty good as well. But getting somebody in with this experience maybe change the culture a little bit in Callaway. It's going to be hard to project how they're going to do, but I'd say after the first few games, you'll get more of a sense of, okay, this is what the Warriors are going to be this season. Then you can go from there. But the schedule's not easy. It's going to be tough, but that's what every team in the GPAC is going to face. If he gets the right coaching staff in to kind of shake things up a bit and maybe get some of his guys in. Year one, you're not going to get all your recruits in that you want. So how he's going to build that over these coming years, it'll be telling for the Waldorf community. And yeah, wish them nothing but the best. And only way he can go is up from here. Been at the bottom for a little bit now, and hopefully it all works out for him and Coach Callaway.
I hope so too. And his track record is more than just Division I as well. He was at Central Methodist, and that was back in 2021, and they were 9-2 and finished 5-0 in the heart of America, conference champions there, and ended up making it into the playoffs. You hope that Waldorf puts the resources behind him, and you take this guy's experience and you listen to him. You have an open mind. You lean on this veteran to hopefully get them out of the cellar. Like you said, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight, more than likely. But if you can stack a few wins here and really get going, maybe just start with that first win. Don't be looking ahead. It's at Concordia. It's on the road. Yeah, that's a bummer too to start, as two of your games are on the road to start. But hey, just do what you can and take it 1 week at a time. Have the boys ready to play. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. A lot to be excited about, though, Jay. We talk about football being here, man. It is right around the corner. It is not this Saturday, not the following Saturday, but it's coming. It's here. And then we got some Thursday night games as well. Northwestern, an interesting opening week matchup. The Leathernecks, Western Illinois, FCS ranks.
ESPN Plus, I'm pretty sure too. So that'll be nice. Get some national recognition for him.
Absolutely. We just got so much talent in the state of Iowa. And we've said it numerous times. That's why we started Sports Guys Iowa. One of the reasons is because we have so much talent here in the state of Iowa that we just want to showcase it. We feel it's underserved, and we've had a ton of fun being able to follow your GPACs, your Heart of America, the ARC, Midwest Conference, and we're excited for year two. And we hope that you, our listeners, are excited as well. Yeah, exciting times, Jay. I think this is a good stopping point for this episode. This show has been brought to you by our friends at Van Ag. Van Ag, protect your yield and improve your fields with Van Ag. We offer precision drone applications for fungicides, foliar nutrients, and fast, accurate cover crop seeding. Less crop damage, more efficiency, and the ability to work when other equipment can't. Contact Nate Van Buren with Van Ag at 319-430-3671. That's Nate Van Buren with Van Ag out of Dysart at 319-430-3671. We thank you so much, Nate. We thank all the farmers out there. We couldn't do what we do without you. You keep my belly freaking full, man. I tell you what. Jay, thanks again for joining us. Thank you all for listening. If you haven't already done so, be sure to like all of our social media pages, Sports Guys Iowa on Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And then we are at Sports Guys Iowa on TikTok, X, and Instagram. For my buddy Jay, Jordan Cole, I am Brandon Ghost Leonard. Take care, everyone.